There are two more valedictorians whom I've not yet introduced. These two students were selected by LHP's Cum Laude Society, the top 20% of their class academically, along with the faculty, to speak this morning as representatives of the class of 2022. Our first distinguished speaker is Gray Louise Chapin, a charter member, valedictorian, 2022 National Merit Finalist, and SGA Executive Board member with a 4.5 grade point average. Gray represents some of the best of what Lake Highland has to offer. Humility is at the foundation of Gray's extraordinary leadership abilities. Part of the legacy she leaves behind is grounded in her contribution to organizations like the Dance Marathon and the Future Problem Solvers of America. Gray has a knack for developing solutions to real-world problems and has received state and international recognition at the Future Problem Solver competitions. Once you know her story, you can begin to see the maturity in her thinking and actions. Although it came at the result of a devastating hardship, Gray found her passion in creating the Blair Connection, which stands for brave, loving, amazing, inspiring, relentless. This site honors her older sister Blair, who passed away from Sanfilippo syndrome at the age of 15. Influenced by the skills she honed in FPS, Gray used her grief as fuel to establish a platform for other siblings going through similar experiences. From designing the website to inviting guest bloggers, Gray has provided emotional support for hundreds of siblings and raised more than $300,000 towards funding a cure for Sanfilippo syndrome. Gray is taking her talents to the University of Florida, go Gators, this fall. Ladies and gentlemen, your first distinguished speaker of the morning, Gray Louise Chapin.
I've got it memorized. No story lives unless someone wants to listen. The stories we love best live within us forever. I'd like to thank the faculty, students, and Board of Trustees for the honor of speaking today. A perfect ending to my Lake Highland story that began 14 years ago. Thank you to the teachers who taught me the value of a story, especially those here who actually taught me how to read one. To my friends and family here today, thank you for showing me that sometimes what's more important than the excitement of your own story is your impact on the stories around you. One powerful story, one kind act, one good person can change the way you see the world, can change the direction of your own story. I know because it happened to me. That one person was my sister Blair. After a heartbreaking diagnosis when she was only 6 years old, the doctors believed her story was set in stone. It was her personality, her laughter, her courage that gave us the power to fight, finding light in the darkness. We never knew when we might be living through her final chapter, so we spent every day filling the pages of her story with love, joy, and adventures. In the process, she made her mark on the pages of stories around the world, inspiring thousands, but she inspired those around her the most. Lake Highland helped my family write Blair's story. The students who helped fundraise for a cure, the faculty who helped me understand and continue to grow. And when we held my sister's funeral, it was Lake Highland who welcomed us into the Bourne Chapel. To everyone who helped write my story at Lake Highland, thank you. There's one thing I know for sure about this class. Our stories will be told for years to come, and they will rival those of the best-selling novels and the biggest screens. When you read about the Stanford student whose groundbreaking research saved the bees, we'll know that story started at Lake Highland. When you hear about the relentless lawyer fighting for the rights of others, we'll remember when he invited the entire senior class to his grad party. When you think about our senior year state champions, our football team, girls basketball, girls lacrosse, along with our archery team and select thespians and debaters, we'll remember how their talents, their stories, gave us something to cheer for. When you go to a Broadway production and you see that one of our valedictorians designed the playbill, you'll remember she made her first one for a Lake Highland musical. When you hear about the student who came back to teach at Lake Highland just to keep annoying Mr. Chihawk for many years to come, we'll know how that started. When you think about your coaches, counselors, teachers, and mentors, when you recall the Navy Vice Admiral who came out of retirement to lead our school when we needed him the most, you'll remember they were all a part of our Lake Highland story. And I have no doubt that when you hear about the doctors and nurses, the activists, the CEOs, the therapists, the social workers, the paramedics, the scientists, that all made this world a better place, we'll know your stories started at Lake Highland. But your story doesn't have to be one for the masses to matter. It's our stories, big and small, that create real change. You don't need bright lights to make an impact. You don't need an arena full of fans to help someone in need. So to the class of 2022, share your stories. The emotional, the inspiring, the funny. More importantly, listen to the stories around you. You never know who might inspire you. Strive to be that one person who can change someone's story for the better. All it might take is one act of kindness. Our stories started at Lake Highland, but this is not where they end. You're only a couple chapters into your life's book. So ask yourself, what is your next story going to be? Thank you.